and in the NFL.
Mhm.
So
Special teams won us the game against Ohio, and it very much could have lost us the game against Iowa.
yeah, um,
It's crazy.
there was some takeaways. I did. The pass rush is starting to get there a little bit.
Yeah, I saw
Two
that.
sacks on the night. Eric O'Neal was able to get a big sack and back when Iowa was backed up,
Yeah.
and I was able to stop that drive. And there were some injuries though on the secondary level that does hurt because right now Rutgers is very thin at that position.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we did have some key stops when they were, on our side of the field too, though. Like we held them to field goals at times where it really mattered. The defense to me, it's showed signs, but unfortunately, that's what it's done every game is just show signs. Like Ohio, fourth quarter, no points scored, and we scored the field goal. That's the difference. Miami of Ohio, we only gave up 3 points, I think, in the second half. And Norfolk State, as lopsided as that may be, we only gave up 10 points, which against any team that's technically good. So we've had flashes, and in this game we had flashes again. We had the first 3 and out on set defense. We had a key. They had the ball on R35 to start a possession, and we only gave up 3 points on that. So it's not like this defense is irreparable. To me, it's just where's the consistency? And then also
Yeah.
the Al Shady Salam penalty that killed us too.
Yeah, that was a bad penalty as well. And just
He's a good player.
overall, do you think that this loss stops the momentum of this team in regards to a potential Big Ten championship or any of ideas of that? Do you still think that's still in the cards for this team
Well,
to make that next step? Or
we're 5.5 point underdogs now against Minnesota. If we win that game, it's almost a 50-50 game, I'm assuming. And if you look at our opponents, I would say Purdue is the only opponent that we're favored against, unless we go on a really hot streak, which is possible. At this point, I'm saying based on how we've played this year, we can't even worry about a bowl game yet, let alone Big Ten championship. We were saying last week, like there's crazier stuff that's happened than a team of this caliber making the playoffs. We're not making playoffs. That's to me, you had to win that game. You had to pretty much go undefeated outside of maybe Ohio State and Penn State. So I think I think that's over with. But I just want to see a good year out of this team. I want to see if we go 7-5, to me that's a success because we have the same amount of wins as last year, one less loss, and we're in a tougher schedule.
you don't see this team making winning eight plus games?
I think we can. I just think based on how we've played so far, we won't. But I see the potential. It's just that I can't keep doing that because it's like a toxic relationship. You're like, oh, I can change them, but from the sideline, you can't change them. You can change them in the locker room. You can change them on the field. You can change them with your mind if you're on the staff. But I, as a podcaster, cannot I can't use the potential card.
Yeah, and just with the fact that they lost their final home game for the next 2 weeks, and
Yeah,
as I'm looking at the schedule right now, they only have 3 more home games left for this season. Most of it's going to be on the road. It's going to be
yeah.
6 games on the road, 3 games at home. How crucial is it for this homestand for this road for these 2 road games that Rutgers is able to go 2-0?
So Minnesota's the first one. Is Washington the second?
Yes.
Okay,
And
Minnesota.
Washington's a 9 p.m. game on FS1.
Minnesota is a must-win because I know that you think Washington isn't all that, but that environment is, and they're still only 2 years away from being the runner-ups. And so, it's like the San Francisco 49ers. They were Super Bowl runner-ups, and then they sucked for a year, and then they went back to the Super Bowl. It's like, to me, it's still an essential win. Both of them are.
Yeah, and I completely see that as well. This Minnesota game, it kind of feels like the same situation as the Iowa game in regards to that tier level of Big Ten competition,
Yeah.
where you can honestly say 7-5 to 7-5 average, 9-3 on a really good year. Those teams are Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois, and you couldn't say Washington, but like this year, I do see a lot of prowess out of Demon Williams Jr. But the
Yeah.
competition he has faced against so far these first 3 games, Colorado State is not a good team, and
So
they
far,
pulled
yes,
out
I
that
agree.
game late. They played against Washington State, and Washington State just looks abysmal.
Yeah, how are you doing, Ignacio?
So
You're writing some funny ass comments there. I can't even display that one, but yeah, we did squander a game that we were supposed to win. But if we're looking at Minnesota, we are the underdogs against Minnesota. There is a path to win, but what do you think is that path?
for me, I really see that the path to win against Minnesota is just. I know Athan wants this revenge game. He wants to be the man of the hour, going back to where it all started. But they have to be able to implement the running game, the running attack that they had the first 3 games of the season.
Yeah.
70 yards compared to the first 3 games this year where they averaged over 105 on the ground. I know CJ Campbell's hurt and he's not going to be back for the rest of the season, but you still have Antoine Raymond and Jay Benjamin. Jay shouldn't only have 2 carries on the night.
No, I was gonna say that too. I was disappointed about the carry discrepancy. He's a capable running back, and we saw it against Norfolk State.
Yeah, so I really see that Rutgers and Graciano mostly, he loves to he needs to be able to get back to running the ball.
Yeah.
Because being able to run the ball makes Athan's passing game even more dangerous. Because it's the way that Rutgers can play. There are certain situations where you don't know if they're going to be able to. They can just run the ball right now, or they can just throw it over your head and just give us more space for these receivers to now be able to be on more man-on-man situations. Just because Minnesota's going to have to load the box up against Rutgers' rushing attack. So I really see that if they run to win this game against Minnesota, they have to get back to that average of 100 yards on the ground.
Yeah, to me, the biggest inconsistency is the rush defense, and we need to make sure that we don't give up 6 yards a carry every time because we've seen that against every team, including Norfolk State. And that's been our biggest weakness, and we got exposed against Iowa for that weakness. Do you think that Athan is looking at Drake Lindsey, sort of how Tom Brady was looking at Derek Carr when he was trying to go to the Raiders? Not that Drake Lindsey's a bad quarterback; he's only a redshirt freshman, and but 60% completion percentage, which before this year was still higher than anything Athan put up. But 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, negative 18 rushing yards. Do you think Athan's going like this is your replacement?
Yeah. The thing about these type of games, especially as a transfer, you want to make them regret the decision.
Yeah.
You want to make them regret the decision.
The only
And
thing
seeing
is,
how much of a leap that Athan has made with Rutgers since he left for Minnesota is just it's just 50% of that revenge that he would want. So
yeah.
being able to show it out again, especially in the place where it all started, I really see this as he's going for the neck of the head coach. He's going for the neck of Drake Lindsey, and
Yeah.
he wants to play this is going to be one of the most motivated games that we see out of Athan in a while.
Sometimes I just like going through a team's roster just to look at some of the names because this guy's name is Ashton Beers. That's their center. That's pretty sick. But yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. And I looked at their running back that is their starting running back at least, Darius Taylor. So far this year, he has 33 attempts for 161 carries. So that's a 5-yard per carry season. They faced they faced California. Who are the other 2 teams they faced this year so far? They faced California and lost. They faced Buffalo, and then they faced Northwestern State. And Northwestern, they won 66-0.
Yeah, they
Buffalo,
absolutely demolished Northwestern State. Buffalo was a close game in the first
that one
half.
was surprisingly close. Yeah.
That
But
was the game where Buffalo's linebacker was able to get that interception off the tip ball.
yeah. You know what confuses me about college football? It's Minnesota demolishes Northwestern State 66-0. Mediocre opponent, whatever. 66-0 is impressive no matter who the opponent is. And then they lose to California 27-14. But then California on Saturday against San Diego State, they were down. They lost 30-0. That surprises me.
It surprises me as well for the most part. It's just Cal outside of since we can talk about it as well, since this is Big Ten specific. California teams outside of USC have not been doing good this year.
No. San Diego State found a way.
UCLA looks horrible.
Oh yeah, they had to fire what's his name, Deshaun Foster.
Yes, two games in, and they just lost to a team that they paid more money to play than they paid Nico Iamaleava to join.
Yeah, and Joey Aguilar, meanwhile, is looking great in Tennessee.
Yeah, but that game as well, it's completely just shocking just how California football is looking like so far this year. The Rose Bowl at Pasadena looks completely empty during UCLA games, and that's something I never thought I would see. But like I said before, the Big Ten just looks like the Wild West, and another Big Ten team that I saw that honestly called my site on Saturday was a team that Rutgers is going to be playing Week 11 in Maryland.
Yeah,
with their true freshman quarterback, I think Malik Cunningham, I think his name is.
Malik Cunningham, yeah. Is he at Maryland? I've heard his name a lot.
Yes, the true freshman quarterback. So I'm when we get closer to that game, I can't wait for that preview.
Yeah. And I'm kind of nervous though with Minnesota. Like I said about Darius Taylor looking good. AJ Turner, he's had a slow start this year as their running back too, but last year he had 104 carries for 864 yards. And that's 8.5 per carry, basically. That's what scares me too. Is they have some dynamicism running, and the theme all year has been we're making these good running backs look like Penn State running backs.
Great. Yeah, they're making good running backs look great.
They're making them look like think of your NFL duos, think of your Sonic and Knuckles, think of your Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw. They're making them look like that so far this year. That's what scares me. The pass defense has gotten a lot better. Mark Gronowski went 12 of 18, and he did all right, but he didn't have an elite game, at least passing the ball. And so we're doing enough. The secondary is slowly coming together.
The one matchup that entices me, like you said, the rush defense against Taylor, the running back from Minnesota. I'm excited to see the matchup on the inside between interior defensive lineman Anthony Smith and Gus Linkus. That matchup is really going to show if Rutgers is going to be able to move the ball, because Anthony Smith has been one of the bright spots for this Minnesota defense this year. Watching him against Buffalo, I was able to tune into that game week 1. He showed a lot of prowess, and so far this year, 7 total tackles, 3 sacks on the year, and he's gotten a sack in every game for the most part. And I'm looking to see if Gus is able to stop that streak. And I just know tomorrow, once they start getting into breaking down their opponent in Minnesota this week, because typically that's more of a Tuesday thing for a lot of college teams, I know Gus is going to have that matchup between Anthony Smith, and Anthony Smith is going to come into that same meeting tomorrow as well and have that matchup of Gus Linkus. And we're going to see who's going to be more prepared for each other on Saturday. And I really see that whoever wins that matchup is going to most likely win the game for their team.
Another thing I'm looking at, and this is probably one of my last things before we have Austin join, is if Athan is throwing the ball in the second half, and it's a close game, we can't get any pass deflections, because last week the discrepancy was 8-1 in terms of pass deflections. And we were throwing the ball and they were batting it down more times than we were actually getting the ball through, at least in the second half of play. So to me, like Minnesota has been a fine defensive team so far. The most they gave up was 27 to Cal. They only gave up 10 points combined before that. But you know what I actually am kind of hoping for? I'm kind of hoping that Minnesota is not even preparing for us. They're preparing for Ohio State on October 4th because that is clearly the bigger matchup for them. They're going to try to see if they can keep it competitive. You know what? Minnesota, you guys have Ohio State October 4th. Just worry about them, all right?
Yeah, and just for Rutgers, I'm really going to be. I'm going to be really tuning into this game as well to see if how they're going to restructure their O line, because we saw Taylor Needham get hurt during that Iowa game, and then he came back, and I think he got hurt again later on.
Yeah.
In that game, so it's just going to be the depth of that offensive line that really going to be the biggest question going into this week, because I really don't know who's going to be playing left tackle right now.
Oh, and
for this Rutgers team.
Also, CJ Campbell being out for the year, that sucks, huh?
A big, major injury loss, because CJ looked like he was going to take the reins with him and Antoine Raymond for this year, because he looked impressive in the first 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Very impressive, especially against Ohio. He looked like he could not get tackled unless they put 5 people on him.
Yeah, just because Antoine.
And that's the type of running back that you need for success in the Big Ten, especially later on in the season.
Yeah, because he was playing more power back, which I was surprised about, because CJ Campbell was getting all the catches at FAU, and he came over here and he was kind of being our power back so far. And I was telling Adam, because I think it was against Miami of Ohio, he kind of had a pedestrian game, and I was like, did you look at how he was getting the ball? Like, he had to RB dive every time. There's only so many yards you can get out of that.
Yeah, and just I really just want to see if Jay Sean Benjamin is going to be able to make up for those lost carries that we're going to go to CJ Campbell.
Yeah. I mean, I want to see Shiano at least give him a chance,
Has to.
And do you have a score prediction for Minnesota?
Oh, I really see this. The shocking part is I'm going to see this game being high scoring, and it's going to end up being a 17-10 ball game. Mm-hmm. For some reason, because when it comes to score predictions on here, whatever happens, just focus on the potential of the opposite happening as well. I really do see this as a high scoring affair, and just I see Athan not slowing up in the second half this time around, especially since I feel like a broken record with this, being able to play against his former team. And I just really see with Minnesota, their biggest issue has been their passing defense. We were able to see that as well against Buffalo week 1, and against Cal. Cal was able to throw the ball on them as well.
They were, especially in the first half.
I feel like the receiving core that Rutgers has is going to be the more advantageous side of the ball against Minnesota. That I can really see Athan possibly having another 300-yard game, 350 plus, I'll say, and winning this for the Scarlet Knights. I would say, honestly, 38-21.
38-21. Okay. And that's Athan top 10 in passing yards, Kaliakmanis, by the way, having those.
Yeah, better than DJ Lagway.
They
predicted.
Yeah, man, I was getting crucified on Twitter for that, but it's all good. I had my revenge, and as a Rutgers fan, that was my natty, so I'll take it. I'm gonna say, I was actually somewhat close last week. I think I said 30-27 Rutgers. I'm saying 31-26, but I think Minnesota takes this one, because based on how we played against Iowa, and Jason, you are right. We do have to beat Minnesota to be in contention for a bowl game, in my opinion, because we're not going undefeated after that when 3 of the matchups are against arguably top 10 teams in football. I'm saying 31-26 Minnesota. I really hope I'm wrong, but we have depth, but the more we get injured, the less depth we do have.